Alright, Elon Musk raised $6 billion, valuing his company, XAI, at $18 billion, so that he can buy 100,000 Nvidia H100 chips to launch a new data center next year that will cause a massive power outage in the US. But that doesn't matter because by then they have hired so many great engineers for XAI that we can ask Grok 2 how to turn the power back on. And even though Teslas are safe from such a power outage, does Elon's one-year-old startup mean the end for new AI tech in his company Tesla? Because he's not compensated fairly. Let's find out. So let's first look at the blog post from XAI themselves, published 2 days ago. They raised a Series B of $6 billion. I'm not sure, it isn't specified how the equity structure is, but I assume he has given away around 30% of shares, since XAI is valued at $18 billion and he raised $6 billion. It's funny because back in January he was denying there were no conversations, which could be true, but since he raised exactly this amount, there might be already some internal conversations and desire to raise this money for XAI. November last year they released Grok 1, and of course the recent model is Grok 1.5. And they look to share any tech updates and new products the upcoming months. So the funds that they raised, they will be using it to bring XAI's products to market. I'm not sure how much percentage of the 6 billion will go to that, to the marketing side maybe. That's what they refer to. I think the most of it will go to the infrastructure because the Nvidia cards are very, very expensive and they will need around 100,000 of those H100 chips to power, well, a new data center. And this isn't specified, but there are rumors that they will build it at one place because Microsoft has multiple places and it's difficult to connect all the different data centers. But of course it has to be in a remote area, otherwise it will be a big power outage because a lot of power is needed to power a data center like this, and especially one that will maybe keep upgrading with more and more chips over time. But it will take a long time, 2025, for the data center to be ready. And the question is will this be fast enough in order to, get closer in the race with all these big other companies that are, I would say, further ahead than Grok and XAI. But of course, Elon has a big power advantage over the others, which is his personal brand to promote Grok once it is up to par or close to the latest models from ChatGPT, Claude, etc. And of course, they will use the other funds to accelerate the research and development, which could mean hiring more people, more talented people. So if you're interested in that, you can always keep an eye out on their career page in here. They have offices in Palo Alto, San Francisco, and London, which is interesting. And I was interested, who is really the leader of the company, which is Elon himself. And it seems to be that Dan Hendricks is the major person behind XAI, working in the background, or at least on the AI safety part, but I think on the major things and leading the big team there. But it doesn't have to be true. It could also be that he's just focused on the AI safety and that they specify it. And that they specify it in here because people are concerned about the safety stuff. And this one is, of course, a really important one. We partner closely with X Corp to bring our technology to more than 500 million users of the X app. It's funny because Elon just recently mentioned there are 600 million users, but of course this isn't updated, or up to date I should say. But this is the major thing here behind XAI. It is not partnering closely with Tesla, although that is a possibility. They specifically mentioned that they're partnering with X, of course, using Grok in the X app. And the company's mission is to understand the true nature of the universe, as Elon likes to say often. And they mentioned themselves that they have a small team, which I think is a very smart move for any company, to keep a very small, highly talented team. And a great example of someone who keeps a small team is the founder of Telegram. A very, very great interview to watch. I highly recommend it. And I believe he has a team of less than 30 people. And you know how big Telegram is. Highly recommend watching this interview of almost 1 hour. I will leave the link somewhere. But this is definitely the power of Elon. You know, he has raised such a big amount of money. And his company is only not even 1 year old. Or maybe a little bit older, but they just showed here the timeline of their first announcement. Maybe the company already exists longer, but was in stealth mode. What I found really interesting is the following. Outside of XAI and OpenAI, Musk said he would prefer to build products outside of Tesla when it comes to AI and robotics, unless he gets more control. So that is a very interesting statement here. Tesla shareholders will start voting this week on whether to restore his big payday of $56 billion ahead of its annual meeting on June 13th. So from Elon's perspective, it is a smart move for him to have started a new startup outside of Tesla. But for Tesla, what does this mean? I don't have enough insider info here. I've not read enough about what this could mean for Tesla. But it very much seems like X will get the priority for all the tech that XAI will develop and release, which makes sense. They're working mainly on Grok at the moment. So I think it is just a matter of time before they will integrate that into Teslas. But I think Tesla will it's just less of a priority for Elon to integrate AI more into. And he also recently mentioned that, of course, there has to be a good use case for AI to be integrated into products. And he was saying that in related to SpaceX, because his and his team couldn't find a valid reason of using AI into any of SpaceX projects, at least not as of yet. But I think this is definitely a great development, because having a competitor to OpenAI and Claude, which I deem to be the best large language models at the moment, I love to see Elon entering the race with some big funding here. And very honestly, I don't like Grok at the moment. I used it a few times, but it just isn't great for anything that I like to use AI for. But not yet, these developments, they will take time, but I think they will have a big impact on X, or better said, Grok. But of course, they will also implement it into their feed. And for example, the community notes. And what I like most is Elon's maximally rigorous pursuit of the truth, which is a big difference from any of the other AI companies, especially Google, if you know what I mean. But now we just have to wait. It will take time before we start to see, well, hopefully great updates to Grok and maybe different use cases as well instead of just the X app. But let's see. Only the series. May check the show notes. Talk soon.